So the ultimate question is alt season cancelled? Let me know in the comments what you think. Bitcoin strong, it's very, very bullish. However, we've had periods like this before where all of a sudden it just flips around. It's like, oh, hello, Bitcoin season's no longer, and it's alt season. Said it before in 2017, we had a 4-week period of absolute mentalness. We've had it in 2020 as well, into 2021. Will we get the same thing? Let's have a little look. So first and foremost, any content creator who has been advocating for altcoins for the last 12, 18 months, probably feeling the pain right now. Certainly when we're thinking about time in the market. As Bitcoin dominance rises, we've had those little flutters of a drop into then the obvious, the Bitcoin bleed. That really hasn't happened just yet. It's just happened the other way around in terms of Bitcoin is still kind of teetering on the edge of absolute bullish parabolic run into potentially more bleeding of altcoins. Oops. So when we go onto my channel, let's talk about stuff I've covered. Has alt season started 13 days ago? Looking really interesting. But then again, I did a video 5 days ago. Is Bitcoin actually going to go higher in terms of dominance and Bitcoin itself? And my overall play, and I talked about this quite a lot, and I know people are bored of it, but I was talking about this time feels a little bit odd, but not too extraordinary in terms of, well, there's two reasons why we get an alt season. The two reasons are obvious: an accumulation phase of Bitcoin where it pushes and it stops, and then also the slow bleed and the death into the rotation into altcoins, right? Now, news. Probably nothing, according to CZ. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, Japanese lawmakers. And then you've got other ones. Russian lawmaker proposes strategic. What? So this is overall just fueling the obvious fire that we've got in the belly. Bitcoin is still strong. We have FOMC very soon. I will cover that in a bit. So there's going to be a lot of factors at play. But the reality is here. We have got a very strong Bitcoin. The mining power is at its strongest. Again, that's kind of with the fabric of what happens here. Now, obviously, if you're not in Bitcoin, you're probably feeling the pain. Let me know what you're feeling right now. I would like to know. Let me know in the comments. Also, if you're new, subscribe if you can. Like the video, help you go further. But let's be frank. Bitcoin is absolutely destroying the market right now. It really is. And the alt season that we've just kind of semi-had has been the Dino coins base of regulation, the ISO coins, like, obviously XRP, a huge factor with the SEC side of it, XLM. HBAR did very well. Cardano did very well. Algorand did very well, right? Just random ones. And it was very odd that they were the Dino coins and they have allowed Bitcoin dominance to shrink. However, what hasn't grown in dominance is Ethereum. Solana hasn't grown neither. So it's very, very interesting to see that we may not actually have the mania yet, and I've said this in another video as well, when I look at my subscriber count and other YouTube content creators as well, a lot of people are still not watching videos yet. There's not many outliers in terms of multiples on my videos yet. That goes the same for all these other content creators as well. You think about, Altcoin Daily, 41,000 views. I'd be happy with that. But 1.54 million subscribers. This is a very heavy niche churning industry. It's crypto, right? So we're going to have a lot of bull and bears wrecked. It kind of happens, right? So there's still, I think, a lot of people to return to the market. So let's not get too overexcited. But the reality is here, we are losing pace massively. And some of this is inflated by a couple of meme coins and random shite, right? But these are pulling back pretty aggressively now. HBAR, for example, is pulling back. Obviously, XRP is slowly turning around. Other altcoins have really struggled to carry on with their momentum. And when we go down to Bitcoin, a lot of them are now below Bitcoin. And some big ones as well. For example, Solana, Near Protocol, Ethereum, right? Stuff like that is going to make dominance drop. And some are now into the red. So it makes you wonder what's going to happen next. And I've got a little feeling we know what's going to happen next. And you might not like it. Let's go into it though. So when we talk about Bitcoin Pro magazine here, or Magazine Pro even, and we talk about what is happening, well, Bitcoin is still at the point of aggressively valued. Therefore, it is kind of somewhat running. We're in a bull market for Bitcoin. Kind of obvious. Now, in terms of the red zone here, it's $182,000. We could fly very, very high, very, very quickly with Bitcoin, and that could be interesting, right? That's going to allow for a lot of mass media to go mental. People will return to the market, and people might actually FOMO into Bitcoin, thinking it's the next best thing because of, oh my God, it's Bitcoin. Wow, let's go. New people. Not into altcoins yet. But as I said before, right? An alt season happens when a Bitcoin accumulation happens, or more importantly, when Bitcoin slowly dies off, right? We've not had either of those yet in terms of this run. We've had one at the start of last year, as you remember. This year, a little bit, but nothing crazy yet, which is mad because I would have thought it would have been here by now. But what is apparent is very, very clear. The ETFs are still flickering green all the way. No red days, absolutely berserk. When we go on to the coin market in terms of like Bitcoin price performance versus everything else into low, this is where we are, and we are running parallel with what we expect. But it brings me to think, well, what happens next? Do we get that pullback in January? Do we get that inauguration of Trump pullback? Or do we just keep going higher and higher until things really start to go a bit mental? That's the thing. 100K psychological level is pretty much broken at $104,000, $105,000, $106,000 level now. But altcoins are really struggling to keep up, which is kind of a bit alarming. So, in terms of the overall beast of the chart here, this is the total market cap. Hello, we are at new highs. Okay, cool, right? We could go much higher, or we can aggressively pull back. Now, if Bitcoin does pull back from here, it's going to hurt the altcoins massively, right? Now, that's only one part of the story. As I said before, Bitcoin flies, we could get some interesting, returns, but your altcoins may well bleed. That's why I'm still Bitcoin heavy, unfortunately for some people. Now, when we talk about the total 3/BTC, we're going to go and retest these levels by the looks of it, which is very, very interesting. Now, in terms of a bearish scenario, I was thinking down here, I think these are somewhat invalidated now. But realistically, we could still look at some of these levels down here as a potential deviation. The question is, what does Bitcoin do? As I say, if Bitcoin flies, well, these are going to probably fall down. If Bitcoin flies and slows down, we may well get the alt season. Now, my overall bias, and I know I've talked about it before, was I wanted a mini alt season in January. But let's talk about that in a second. Why not? Because I wanted a mini alt season from now until January because I thought Bitcoin was going to stay still and range because of the Donald Trump side of it, because of like policies and all kinds of stuff, and obviously FOMC and a bit of instability in the market. I was expecting, you know what, we might just chill here. Altcoins may well breathe and also still continue to catch up. No, that hasn't happened, right? So in that situation, as I've alluded to it, in the prior markets, we've had these pullbacks and then a big spike to the upside. When you look at the market, it's kind of obvious. Bitcoin will consolidate at certain points and pushes. We had it at the start of this year. We had it at the start of like the previous cycles as well, which is madness. Also, a slow bleed from the top is also hugely beneficial for the market to do a massive, massive push, which has happened in the past as well. We got to think, right, from this time period here, Bitcoin was quite slow, right? If you look back at Bitcoin, the moves were already, the big move was already a lot earlier. And then it slowly went up towards that all-time high. Then we had that huge correction in May, which was mental. And then we had another burst of the market. Now, what could happen here is, as I said before, Bitcoin could go way beyond 100K and fly into new levels of like, oh my God. And Bitcoin really squirts the market, in a wrong way. Like it really squeezes it hard. And altcoins don't keep up because what if Bitcoin goes to 120K, then it drops down by $10,000 or maybe goes back down to 100K and retests that level? Altcoins will get absolutely hurt in that situation, in my opinion. And as I said before, you've got Ethereum. This is Ethereum dominance chart. It's not doing anything good. Solana dominance chart. It's really dropping and changing character here. Not looking great. Even the XRP dominance chart could correct lower and go even lower. So that's only going to add to the dominance of Bitcoin, which is going to keep increasing. So stuff like that could become very, very, very interesting. When we talk about Bitcoin alone, this is where we are. We are at all the way up here, right? And as I said before, we square up, usually consolidate. Square up, usually do something random and consolidate. We've squirted up. There's no consolidation yet. Of course, it can happen. Yes, it can. And I hope it bloody does. Just going to put that point out there. But I just got a little inkling and a feeling that over Christmas, it might be a bit wild and volatile. And I don't think altcoins will like it if Bitcoin is volatile. If Bitcoin does absolutely nothing, good. Tick in the box. Altcoins may well be allowed to breathe and actually move correctly. But right now, above my head, as you can see, not the Carlisle United flag, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about these charts. You can see they're all pretty red, apart from a couple. Chainlink's doing well, and I think stacks recently are kind of holding up a little bit. I think Ethereum-ish holding up a little bit, but most things, it's not looking good, bruv, realistically. So what can happen? We need a pullback or a consolidation, realistically, right? We need to see what's going to happen with this move. This move is monstrous. But the reality is, Bitcoin is ruling the roost right now, and it's starting to show. This here, if we go even higher, it's going to be very, very painful for altcoin holders. So yeah, you've got to be very, very, very mindful of that. In other news, other bits and pieces, random stuff, Bitcoin miners are doing real strong growth at the moment, certainly in pre-market, so it'll be interesting to see if that continues. But where the real thing is, and the kicker is, Wednesday, we have FOMC, okay? That's going to be massive. We're looking at a 0.25 basis point drop in terms of interest, which is kind of obvious in a way. But if anything more than that or anything different from that, it could spook the market. This is probably going to be the last event we're ever going to see of this year, realistically. There's nothing else really scheduled because it's Christmas. And that will maybe allow markets to run more freely. Well, as I say, Bitcoin is the lynch here, the king. And if this really does squirt, it's going to hurt your altcoins. So be mindful of that. I'd be very, very cautious around using leverage over this time period, as much as I recommend bluffing in the link below. And obviously, if you are bored over the Christmas period, jump in my Patreon for more content. But the reality is very, very clear here. If Bitcoin continues to move, your altcoins probably won't. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and watch the recommended video. I will be telling you roughly when I'll be selling this cycle, and it's all outlined here.